All right, B'siyata Dishmaya. We are here in Shari Yichud in Tzfat Yer HaKodesh on this beautiful Thursday, getting ready for the lights of Shabbat. And this morning I was able to learn a very beautiful piece from a book that Rav David Hai Abuhatzeira put out. This is a book, a little kuntras, a little pamphlet talking about the idea of Emunah and Bitachon, from the Tzaddik Rav David Hai Abuhatzeira, the grandson of the Baba Sali, and the patriarch right now, the leader, the torchbearer of the Abuhatzeira family. And he sits in Nahariya. And B'ezrat Hashem, he gave an amazing teaching in this book about Emunah that I felt I need to share. We all need Emunah. We're going to learn from this how much we need Emunah, what is this Emunah, and how it's able to be acquired by every single Jew at any given moment. The Rav says like this: it's written in Chovot HaLevavot, in the duties of the heart, in the Shara B'china. It says there that when a person contemplates in nature and he sees that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Creator, blessed be He, with so much mercy, created a whole entire world only to do good for His creations. It's known that it's explained in every single Kabbalistic teaching that the reason Hashem created the world was to give good, to bestow good upon us. So within this world where Hashem wants to do good for us and to bestow good upon us, Hashem prepared in this world everything that a human being would need is prepared for him. Avir, mayim, umazon, ushar dvarim. Whether we're talking about the food, we're talking about air, we're talking about anything else, water, anything you need in life. And the more the thing is needed for the person, Hashem made it that he should be able to acquire it and grasp it with his hand that much easier. Like air. A person needs air more than anything else in the world. A person needs oxygen, needs to be able to breathe. It is known that Hashem, when He created mankind, Hashem breathed into us a soul that gave us the ability to speak, Ruach Ve'malala, a speaking spirit. And we need air more than we need anything else. And therefore, the whole entire world is filled with air. And there's no need to transport air, to make business out of air, to sell air from here to there. Air can be found everywhere. Since a person needs it so much, it's there, it's that easy to get. What's not the case with water. Water, you could exist for a few days without water, unlike air. Therefore, you can also take water from one place to another, because there's a reality that in the world there's places that doesn't have water. You can go to certain forests that don't have water. You can go to deserts and different parts of the world that you can't find drinkable water there. We see this. And not only that, do we have the air that's easily accessible, and we also have water that's accessible but a little bit harder. We have food as well. Food is less important than water to a human being, even though it's important. But when you have to take air, water, and food would be the last thing that a person needs. A person can go much more time without food than he can without water, and definitely without air. Therefore, it's not so easy to find like everything else. Food can only be found in the fields, in the vineyards, in the orchards, and you have to sow the field, you have to plow the field, you have to plant, you have to farm it, you have to harvest it, until it gets to what's called food that's fitting to be eaten by a person. So too, a person needs to pay for food, right? What's different than water and air? Water and air we can get for free. Food, you have to pay for it, right? Since it's so much more important for a person, right? Then water and air, they have to be free, but food, it's less important, even though it still is. Therefore, you have to pay for it a little bit more. What's the general rule that the tzaddik is coming to teach us here? That a person, the more that he needs something, the easier it will be for him to get it in his life. And the less he needs something, the further away it will be for him to achieve it, and the more he might need to do in order to get it. So too, this is in everything in the world. Like food, physical food, so too we have spiritual food. What's the spiritual food that is the most needed? What is the most important thing when it comes to spirituality? What could be compared to air in this example? Right? Air is the thing we need the most physically, therefore it can be found everywhere and we have easy access to it and it's free. So what would that air be when it comes to spirituality? That is Emunah. Emunah is the air of the soul. It's the oxygen of the soul. Without Emunah, you can't exist. And by way of Emunah, you can't exist without Emunah, therefore Emunah can be found in everywhere. And even the most simple people in Am Yisrael, that they don't have Torah, they don't have a bunch of mitzvot, they're just Jews. They were born into the tribe of Israel, the nation of Israel, but every single one of them, every single Yid has Emunah. At the core of his reality, even if it's covered up in many, many layers, and you might not see it on the day-to-day, if his button never gets pressed, if he ever gets pushed into a dark corner, that Emunah will be revealed because it's there in his essence. By way of a little bit of contemplation of what's happening in the world, you will see tangibly that the whole entire world is being led with divine providence. Hashem is watching over the world at every given moment. How Am Yisrael is getting through everything that we've been through, that's enough of a lesson for you to understand that if that's the case for the nation of Israel, that we've been in the world for so long and we've been through so much and we keep getting through it, even more so that has to be the case for the individual. That the individual human being, he also has divine providence over him. He has Hashem watching over every single step that he takes. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the creator of the world, the creator, he is bringing sustenance and spiritual blessing for every single creation in many different aspects that are very, very, very far beyond what a human mind can comprehend. And from everything that we just explained, a person should be filled up with this pure air, the air of Emunah, pure Emunah in the creator of the world. After we have the level of air, which is Emunah, now we have Mazon Nefesh, we have the food, the sustenance of the soul. So we had the air of the soul, and now we have to deal with what is the food, what am I feeding my soul? These are the mitzvot. And when your soul is lacking sustenance, when your soul, so to say, is hungry, and you feel this lack inside of you, that spiritual hunger that you're experiencing needs to be filled up by way of mitzvot. And when a person goes to do a mitzvah, that will be the food and the sustenance that his soul is seeking. Further than this food is what's called the garments of the body, the garments of the soul. Like we have, right? We have air, water, and food, and air, water, and food when we were talking about the physicality. So obviously there's another level that goes beyond that, which is the physical needs that a person has, such as clothing, such as a house, such as jewelry, anything else that you could say that a person needs. Those are already beyond the level of food. So here, the Rav is bringing us what's beyond this level of food, which are the mitzvot. We said again that Emunah is the air, the mitzvot is the food, and so to say the water. So what is beyond that? What is the clothing? What are the garments of the soul? The garments of the soul, which is called Chalukah de Rabbanan, the rabbinical cloak. That comes to a person, mitikun nafsho v'nishmato shena'asa al yedei kiyum hamitzvot. The rectification that happens to you, the purification of your being and of your soul, the soul being rectified and being purified from all of its negative traits by way of doing a mitzvah, that outcome of doing the mitzvah, the tikkun that happens to your soul, the rectification that happens to your soul, that is the garment. That is the spiritual garment that is, so to say, parable to our physical garments. Like a physical garment, a person wears it. Everybody wears the clothing that is fitting for him. what he understands that he should look like in the street, according to the honor and the respect that he's deserving of in the street. And you won't see a person, a simple person, a simpleton that's walking, right? Let's say in our terms for this world, a blue collar person, you won't see them usually walking around dressed like a king, dressed like a president. They dress how they dress. They dress in their work clothing. They dress in their simple clothing, their jeans, their t-shirt. So too, it's the same thing with spiritual garments, the garments of your soul. According to where the value of your neshama is in relativity to the world and those surrounding you, and also the mitzvot that you've done and how the mitzvot was done and how that it affects the rectification of your soul, so too will be the worth and the preciousness of your chalukah derabanan, of your spiritual garment that covers your neshama. So from this, we see that there's also the rest of the things that person needs, but they're not, so to say, chiyuni, they're not vital, they're not essential things. And they're much harder to acquire. But like we said, like a car, jewelry, extra things, an extra house, all these different things that they're not mamash essential. A person could exist the whole entire lifetime without a house in this world, right? Without a car for sure. But they're things that a person wants. So too here, you have to know that if a person sees that he's always aspiring for more, he's always trying to get more in life, in his physical aspects, right? But the physical things of life, they change. They're here today, gone tomorrow. One day you have a nice car, 2 days later it could be wrecked and it could be stolen, or God forbid, whatever it is, right? These things change. Your house changes, your clothing changes, your job changes, your stature and where you're holding your status in society changes. Even more so, you should have aspirations for more to get to a much better spiritual stature and a spiritual place in your journey in this world, in your actions, in the way that you walk, the way that you conduct yourself, the people you surround yourself with, the things that you bring inside your body, the things you speak about. You should aspire to have much, much loftier actions and thoughts in this world. But for sure, the thing that a person needs the most can be found without any effort. The thing a person needs the most in his life spiritually is Emunah. Emunah is the number one spiritual tool that you need. And this should bring up a big question. The Rav is going to bring it, but this is a question that you should be asking. If Emunah and doing mitzvot are so easy and they're so easy to grasp, like the rest of the physical things that I need, like my air, like my food, like my clothing, if my emunah and my mitzvot are that easy for me to grasp, like those essential things I need in my life, why don't I feel that way? Why don't I feel like they're that close? Why do I feel like doing a mitzvah is harder than eating a cookie? Why do I feel like it's easier to take a breath of air than it is to improve my emunah? Everybody, at their nature, they breathe and they take care of themselves and they eat and they wear their clothing. And when it comes to mitzvot, you don't see that people are putting in this effort to make sure that they're doing mitzvot, that they're working on their emunah, that they're fixing their ways. So what's the reason, the Rav says? The reason is that if the Creator, blessed be He, with His abundant mercy, created everything that we need so that it should be close to us, right? So then how is it that these things are not happening for me? The spiritual things are not as easy as the physical things. Ach nafshenu cholat ahava ve'enenu ro'im be'ayin b'riya. Our soul is sick. Cholat ahava, love sick. And we're not able to see with a healthy eye Ma'u atov lanu lekiyumenu. What is the good that I should be seeking out every day for my existence? Like the tzaddikim explained about Knesset Yisrael. It says in Shir Shirim, Shlomo HaMelech writes, Cholat ahava ani. I am lovesick. I am lovesick. The rabbis explain on this that that's said about the nation of Israel, that the nation of Israel is lovesick for their Creator. And it's also written in Yedid Nefesh. In Yedid Nefesh it says, Nafshi cholat ahavatecha. My soul is lovesick for you, filled with so much of a passion to connect to you, to the creator of the world. Our soul is lovesick, but sick, like a sick person. We're just sick and we're weak because of such love for Hashem. And when a person is sick, we all know this, we went through this, some of us are still going through this, our sense of taste and our sense of smell was taken away from us a few years ago. When a person's sick and he tastes something that is bitter, it might be sweet for him. Or if he tastes something that's sweet, it might be bitter for him. We are lovesick. We are sick. We are sick with love, but we're sick. We're not able to feel the love that is being pulled out from the mitzvot. We don't taste it. We go to do a mitzvah, it tastes bitter to us. We go to drink some alcohol, that's bitter and it tastes sweet to us. And since we don't feel the proper taste, so then we're not able to continue with our pursuance and our perseverance, chasing after the Holy Torah and the mitzvot and our Emunah. We're not able to tapping into that place of infinite, eternal pleasure, eternal taste of goodness from Hashem. And because of this, because of our sickness, even though everything is right there, the books are there in our generation more than anywhere. They're all on our phone. This is online. Everything's online. You can get any kind of emunah that you want. You can learn Kabbalah. You can learn Daf Yomi. You can learn Halacha. You can learn anything you want on the internet. It's right there. You can grow your emunah all day long. Instead of listening to music, you could be listening to Divrei Torah. When you're driving in the car, you could be listening to Divrei Torah. You can listen to a podcast about a tzaddik, about the history of Am Yisrael. You could be growing your emunah at any given moment. You can sit outside and meditate on a rock, on a tree, on a leaf. You can get to Hashem so much, so easily you can get to Hashem. So if it's right there, why can't we do it? Because we are so sick. We don't have the ability to differentiate between bitter and between sweet, between salty and sweet. We're not able to feel the lack of when we don't do a mitzvah, that our soul is hungry for the mitzvah. So we think it's for the cookie, we think it's for another muffin, we think it's for another thing, and we don't realize that really what we want to do is to do another mitzvah. This yesod, this foundation, the Rav David Hai Abuhatzeira Shlita, he brings from the Rambam. The Rambam makes a mashal, a parable, and says, Choli hanefesh lecholi haguf. The sickness of the body, the sickness of the mind is the sickness is one in one. What you're going through in your head, it affects the body. What you're going through in your body is an outcome of what you're going through in your head, in your soul. The sickness of the body, the sickness of the soul is what can make a person blind and blocked off, that his eyes are not able to see the true good. And this is the mamash, the words of the Rambam when he says like this: the sickness of the body causes a person to taste bitter as sweet and sweet as bitter. There's sick people that have a ta'ava, that have a lust, that have a craving to eat something that isn't even food. They want to eat dirt, they want to eat charcoal. Right? Whoever has been married to a pregnant woman, sometimes they want to eat ice. They just want to eat ice. Ice is not food. But you see that they're in a state where they're going through a medical procedure, they're pregnant, their body is changing, they're, so to say, they're halachically like a sick person. May they all be completely healthy and give beautiful, healthy births to beautiful babies that will serve Hashem. But halachically, they're in this aspect of being sick. And they want to eat things that are not even food. And these people, when they're sick, they don't want to eat the things that are good for them, like healthy bread, like meat. Everything goes according to how sick a person is, the Rambam says. כך בני אדם שנפשותיהם חולות מתאבים ואוהבים הדעות הרעות ושונאים הדרך הטובה ומתעצלים ללכת בה והיא כבדה עליהם למאוד לפי חוליים. Just like a person who is sick doesn't like to eat the healthy things, they want to eat the negative things. and they're not able to even understand what is the true good, so too when a person is sick in their soul, when they're lovesick, when they're whatever it is that they're feeling, they're not able to really tap into the good things that they should, and they have a ta'ava, they have this fallen lust to negative thoughts, negative opinions, negative perspectives, and they hate the good path, and they get lazy from walking on the proper path of Torah and connection to Hashem, and it becomes a burden for them, it becomes heavy for them, more and more according to how sick they are spiritually. So too Yeshayahu, the prophet, says about these people, Hoya omerim l'ra tov v'latov ra, Samim choshech la'or ve'or lechoshech, samim mar lematok matok lemar. Yeshayahu the prophet says, Isaiah the prophet says in the 5th chapter, the 20th verse, Oi, to those people that say that bad is good and that good is bad, they put darkness in light and light in darkness. They put bitter into sweet and sweet into bitter. And on them it says, the words in Mishlei from Shlomo HaMelech in the Proverbs, they leave the paths of straightness, of truth, to walk in the paths of darkness. Up until here was this teaching from Rav David Hai Abuhatzeira, teaching us about how easy it is to get Emunah, how close these things are to us, that our Emunah, our mitzvot, and the outcome of doing a mitzvot, of how it improves us as a person, is mamash there, easy to acquire and to engage with, like air, water, and food. And the more you need the thing, the closer it is. Therefore, Emunah is everywhere, and it can be tapped in by any level of contemplation, in any situation a person finds themselves in. It's known that Rabbi David Hai Abuhatzeira, like all of the Abuhatzeras, are connected to the path of the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh, the Or HaChaim HaKadosh, that came to teach us that everything in life is a lesson in Emunah. Therefore, Emunah is like your air, where you can get it in any given moment. Above that, you have already food and sustenance. Food and sustenance and water, you might have to work more, you have to move it from place to place, you might have to work for it, you might have to pay for it, but you still need it. And those are the mitzvot. You have to put in effort to do mitzvot. You have to make a push to do mitzvot. And then you have garments. That garments are already above that, and spiritually are garments that is the outcome of what the mitzvah does to you. When you do a mitzvah, you're connecting to the source of light, the source of all creation, the Creator, blessed be He, who is completely good and giving and loving and merciful. And the more that you connect to that, the more that you become that. So that's what happens. Whenever you do a mitzvah, whenever you connect to Hashem, one of the 613 ways, 620 ways that we've been given to connect to Hashem, you yourself are becoming more like Hashem and tapping into the divine. You become more divine, and that's what's called the Chalukah D'Rabbanan. That's what's called the garments of the soul. But why can't we do this? Why does it not feel that these spiritual things are as easy as the physical things that we need? Because we're so sick. We're so lovesick in Hashem. We want so much more than what we're getting in this world. Our soul is from such a lofty place, and it's been brought down to this place where it has to put in extra work in order to do it. And we're so sick that we want so much more that we're not able to differentiate between what's bitter and what's sweet, what's good for us and what's bad for us. And in our sickness, we feel a certain hunger, we feel a thirst, we feel a desire to connect. And instead of connecting to the source, which is really what's the call that we're having inside of us, the craving that we're having inside of us, instead of that, because of the confusion, because of the long exile and everything that our nation and us as individuals have been going through, we go towards the bitter thing instead of going to the sweet thing. May we all learn from this, mamash learn from this, that what we need at all given moments is emunah, bitachon, Torah, mitzvot, tefillah, dveikut b'Hashem yitbarach. And whenever we feel an urge towards a certain thing, we have to learn from that to grow our emunah, to pray to Hashem, to connect more to Hashem, to go to the source always, and to skip over what we're experiencing in this world, to not get startled from the things that happen to us in this world, just to use this whole entire world to reveal Hashem and to reveal more ways to connect to Hashem. Amen. If you like that video, please hit subscribe, like the video, leave a comment with your thoughts, and if you know someone that this could inspire, please share it with them. All of these acts would help to spread this Torah to more people, inspiring more people from the world to connect to the Creator. Thank you so much, and have a great day.